Hey, it's Jason with Jalen Photography, and welcome back to the channel. So I recently did a video with Ali where I shot some high-key portraits and some soft light, but still on a white background. And so in this video, what I would like to do is to show you basically how I edited one of each of those. So one will be a high-key, and one will be the gray or the soft white background. So the first one that I'm going to do is this one right here. I've already changed it to the neutral profile, which is what I use, but as you can kind of see, this is the basically the raw image as it comes into Photoshop. So I'm opening it up in Bridge into Camera Raw. As you've seen before, I don't use Lightroom, so this is kind of, I make my adjustments in Bridge, and so I'm going to kind of adjust my exposure. My background is already pretty much white, and so that's the benefit of being able to get it in the camera correctly. I'm going to adjust my camera or my contrast a little bit, up my highlights, probably decrease my shadows a little bit. So I want to keep, these shadows where her feet are touching the floor. I'm going to keep those. Increase my white. What I don't want to do is she's wearing a white top, and so I don't want the white top to get lost. I don't want that to get over white, so I have to be real careful of that. And I'm going to just kind of work on my blacks a little bit. Let's see, my color is fine as far as my temperature goes. I'm going to change my vibrance. As I mentioned in the other video, I typically always go with a vibrance of 17 and a saturation of 4. And then on my effects, I go with a texture of 2, my clarity of 5, and my dehaze of 5. So that actually looks pretty good. My guess is that white background still isn't pure white, and so that doesn't necessarily have to be pure white, but that's kind of what I'm going for there. So I'm going to open it up in Photoshop, and this is the image that I have in Photoshop. And so just a couple of the first things that I'm going to do, I'm going to actually work on her face, eyes, skin first, and get those ready, and then I'll work on fixing the image in the background, or image. I mean, it looks pretty good, but I think it needs a little bit of work still. So I'm going to soften the face using my Neural Filters action that I have. And so you can also find the Neural Filters up in Filters, Neural Filters, Skin Smoothing, and then you can make adjustments from there. I'm not going to do it because I've actually got an action already done. And I can show you the action right here has already taken place. So what that did is that smoothed out her face a little bit. And again, I'll show you just as a close-up. So here and here. Here is the original. Here is with it smoothed a little bit. So that's where I'm at with that. So now I'm going to do the action for my eyes. And basically what that is it's a brand new layer, nothing on it. It's set to overlay. The opacity is 35%. And I can kind of tweak that from there. I don't have to leave it at 35%, but I'm just going to brighten the eyes. The biggest and most important thing in the way that I edit photos is I want them to be as natural as possible. I don't want the eyes to be like fully, bright, and I want them to be very close to the way I shot them. So I'm going to tweak that just a little bit. That front eye is a little bit dark, and what I might actually even do here is I've got a really nice catch light here and not as much here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and add a catch light. And so the way that I'm going to do that is I created a new layer, and I'm going to grab my stamp tool, and it's right here. Basically, I'm going to hover right over it, hold the Option key on the Mac, and select it by click, and then I'm just going to add my key light into that eye over there also. It just kind of makes it look a little bit better, I think. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Let's see here. So now I want to remove some blemishes. So I'm going to grab the patch tool. The patch tool is right here. Nope, sorry. Patch tool is right here. J on the keyboard. And again, there's multiple healing options in that palette there. So I'm just going to fix her skin. Her skin's actually quite good. So there's not a whole lot of this I need to do. And even really with that Neural Filters, you don't have to do a lot. It actually does a lot of that for you, and it's really nice. So as far as the face goes, maybe right there. I am going to fix this. Not sure what this is, but I'm going to use the Content Aware tool. And that's resolved. I'm going to get rid of this, this. Oh, that was on my screen. On my screen also. Let's see here. Let's get rid of that. Skin. So I'm going to actually use my action for skin smoothing here. And so basically I have a hotkey for it already. And I'm going to start that. Her skin, and in this light, it's actually not super blotchy. So again, this is probably a little bit of an overkill, but I'm going to also tone it back down. But you might be able to notice it a little bit. It's just going to smooth the skin just a little bit. In the fall, I really don't have a lot of options to show a lot of skin smoothing because most people have, you know, clothes on all over all of their skin. In this shoot, she kind of wanted to do this Calvin Klein thing, and so we went ahead and did it, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to show again just kind of how I'm going to work on the skin. So I'll do it up here in the neck. It doesn't have to be perfect. Oop, does not have to be perfect at all. And I might, yeah, that's fine. That should be fine. And the pants, yeah, good. Okay, so I'm going to, on my skin smoothing layer, I could leave it like that, but that's way too much. So I always typically turn that down to 60%. And so that's pretty much my edit there as far as the skin and her body goes. I'm going to look at the floor and see if there's anything that needs to come off the floor. I kind of try to do a good job of cleaning it up, making it a little bit easier for me in post. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That was probably the best floor cleaning job that I did there. All right, so from here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to merge those layers because I don't need them to basically take up space. So now the other thing that I typically do is I add some warmth. So as you noticed, I basically just did another action that I have. It's a solid color layer, and I've got it set to like a warm temperature, basically right in here. And then I have it set to soft light and all the way down at 7%. So it just warms up her skin just a little bit. Now I wanted to actually add some more contrast into this. So I feel like it's just a little bit dark. I'm going to go ahead and go to my curves layer, add a curves layer, bring up my whites just a little bit, bring in my darks a little bit, my blacks, and then just kind of increase that contrast. And I do kind of like that. Play around with it just a little bit. And that's that. That's basically how I'm going to edit that layer. If I kind of want to make sure that that background is white, what I can do is I can actually add one more layer, one more curves layer. And so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just kind of bump up that white quite a bit. All right. So you'll see that I've lost detail here. I've lost the shadows. That's okay. So in Photoshop, my curves layer is coming in with a mask. And so what I actually want to do is I want to mask her back out, basically keeping that background clean. So I'm going to select her, select the subject. And Photoshop's selection tool is absolutely fantastic now. I'm going to come back to that curves layer where I blew everything out, and I'm going to fill that selection with black, basically concealing that bright layer that I just did. Now, as you can see, that makes her look very good, but I still have lost her shadows. So I want to add those shadows back in. I don't want them to be super, super strong. So I'm going to change the opacity of my brush to about 30% and try to add those shadows back in just a little bit. And I'll probably have to go over them a couple times just to kind of make it a little bit natural. And there we go. I feel like Bob Ross Happy little trees, right? So that's that edit right there. The next edit that I want to do is the soft white edit. This might take a little bit longer, but I don't think it's going to take that much longer. So I'm going to open it up, go to Bridge, open it up in Camera Raw. I've already edited it, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the edits. So I'm going to go back to as it was. That's basically as it was, other than having it have the neutral profile. I'm going to come here, auto, let it kind of get it into that area that I like. Adjust my contrast, maybe bring up the highlights a little bit. Shadows are probably fine. Maybe increase the blacks a little bit. Let's see, the color is good. Vibrance 17, you guessed it. Saturation 4, and then here 2, 5, and 5. All right, so that's how I want that. I think her face is fine. So we're going to open that. Just to let you know, I'm actually using that newer light as a key light here, just to kind of brighten me up a little bit. It's a little bit overcast today, and it's a little bit dark in the house. There is some light coming through, but this light actually is a lot more nice. I mean, it's very nice. I think it's nice and looks pretty good on the face. I'm shooting the video with the Osmo Pocket, and of course recording the screen on the Mac. All right, so again, what we're going to do is I'm going to work on her first, and then I'm going to fix the background. So first things first, neural filters on the face, just to smooth out the face. You know what? Let me delete that. So I've got her open, neural filters on the face. I like these numbers. These numbers work for me. I have it set to the current layer, so it's going to adjust that or fix right to that layer. I need to make sure I deselect, come in and just kind of see how that looks. I'm going to go ahead and use my patch tool and basically get out these blemishes that I can see. Again, her skin was really, really nice for this shoot. Not a lot of skin work that I have to be done. Well, let's work on this here. That's on the screen. Skin there is fine. You're also going to start, you'll see some stuff. So because I'm not blowing out the background, you're going to see some stuff on the flooring and of course this stuff here on the sides. So I will get to that. So that's the neural filters on the face. So now what I want to do is I want to add my eyes layer. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to go to overlay, 35%. With my brush, I'm going to kind of brighten those eyes a little bit more, and I'm probably going to brighten these back up too. And I might just copy in that catch light also. I like that. All right, perfect. So, and I'm going to actually increase that to, let's go to 55% on the eyes. And then I'm going to add my warm layer. So actually I'm going to wait on my warm layer because I've got other work I need to do on this background. But I'm going to go ahead and merge these two layers. I will do the skin smoothing action, and I'm not going to do that in step by step because that will take way too long. This video is already 15 minutes long. I can shorten it a little bit, but not a lot. And again, remember, the skin smoothing isn't just to smooth skin. It actually kind of works to, it definitely works to smooth skin, but it's good for blotchy skin. So that really kind of helps. As you notice, she had some pretty rough tan lines there from a really bad sunburn. So I need to fix that before I really move too much further. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my patch tool, and then I'm going to use Content Aware, and let's see how Content Aware does. That works for me. I'm not going to go super detailed on here. I'll grab this one. Same thing, content aware. Very nicely done. Photoshop. Very good. All right. So that's her. She's ready to go. So now what I need to do is I need to clean up the background. So first thing I'm going to actually do is I'm going to fix my background. Oh, and I had the wrong button. So hold shift to get two selections together. And I'm going to see how content aware fill does with this. It should do fairly well. Very nice, nicely done. All right, so now I can start doing cleanup. So I have just little stuff. I might speed up this video clip because y'all don't want to watch me clean all this stuff up. All right, that looks pretty good. No, probably not perfect, but very good for this. And so basically from here is where this is typically how I'll do a studio edit when I need that background to be real nice and soft and smooth looking. So I'm going to duplicate my layer, Command J on the keyboard, and I'm going to duplicate it twice. From here, I'm going to select and remove the background using the Remove Background tool. Again, Photoshop is absolutely fantastic when it comes to this stuff nowadays, whereas before, when I first started using it, I mean, you're basically going in and hand drawing it to select it out. So I can come in here and just to see the selection, and basically that's my selection there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to kind of tweak it just a little bit here. So I held shift on the keyboard to add the selection. You can see the little plus sign on the tool that I'm using. I'm not really too worried about the hair. So I've got that because some of the hair I want to get rid of. So for the most part, that looks good on my selection. So I've got that selected there. And let me just make sure that's correct. Perfect. Okay, so now I need to expand this selection and onto my middle layer. So I'm going to come over here to the selection, whatever that selection tool is, and I'm going to expand the selection. I'm going to expand it by about 60 pixels. So I just want everything around her selected. I'm going to go ahead and select that too, but that's going to be fixed anyway. So what I really need to make sure here is that all of the hair is selected. I don't want any of the hair outside of this selection. If you hear stuff boiling in the background, I've got stuff on the oven, sorry. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to use Content Aware to fill that selection. You're not going to notice it right away because there's still her on the top layer. But I'll show you what's happened. So this is now what's on my middle layer. So this I'm not worried about because she's going to be there. So if I turn it back on, it's there. But what you'll notice is some of that shadow has been kind of wiped away. Don't worry about that. So I'm going to go ahead and with this layer, I want to put a blur onto it. So I'm going to take a blur and I'm going to go to the Gaussian blur, and I found that like 75% is pretty good. So I've got 75% on that. My shadows are gone, but I'm going to fix that. I'm going to add a mask, and I'm going to use my brush to paint back in the shadows. It's set to black and it's at 30% because I don't want it like hard 100%. And I'm just going to kind of go along the whole bottom because I don't want it to just kind of feel like she's still floating there with just her shadow. So I'm going to kind of just go over that, definitely more so where she's sitting, because I really want that to fill in. And this is the reason why you have the third layer. The third layer is basically I'm painting out that blur to show that bottom layer with the actual shadow in it. And so here's where I said don't worry about the hair too much, because it did delete a lot of the hair, but I can bring some of that hair back in. I'm still set to 30%, and it's nice to do it like that because it doesn't actually, it will eliminate some of those little flyaways. I'm not going to be perfect with it, but I can kind of bring back some of it to where it looks a little bit more natural, but eliminating some of the brighter or more darkly colored flyaways. Now, not everything works perfectly. Like for instance, her bracelet here. I can see that it actually took some of her bracelet out. So I need to paint that back in. And you're going to find that it doesn't always do perfect on everything that you do. I did notice I forgot to actually get rid of that, and you can see some of these other little things, but I'll get that in just a few seconds. So for the most part, that's kind of how I want it. Now, the big thing is when you blur that background, there is no longer noise in your background. But if I look at her, there's noise on her as far as that's just the way it goes. So I want to add noise back in. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to set the mode to overlay. Right? Yep, overlay. And I want to check this box, fill overlay with neutral gray. Neutral gray, it's not going to show because it's right here. I know that my opacity is probably going to be around 35%. And then I'm going to add noise. And we'll go monochromatic, 12.5%. Again, that's one that I found that's a pretty good representation. And then I also want to blur that. So I'm going to go back to the Gaussian blur, and I'm going to go like 9% or 0.9% on the blur. You don't notice it a lot, but if I come back in, you'll see that now I have some noise in here. And it very similarly matches the noise that's on her. And so now I'm going to merge those layers. I'm going to fix that little hair. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. 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 There we go. And then what else do I need to add? My contrast or my color and my contrast. And that's that. Soft white background, high key background. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the videos. I hope that actually helped a little bit. I don't know if it does or not, but I know that people have been asking for some editing videos. So there we go. Thank you again. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit me up with anything that you would like to see in 2024. I'm super excited to be able to continue growing the channel. Share the videos if you like them. Comment. Please comment. The comments always help. And until next time, keep shooting.